Rolex Sydney Hobart report is brought to you by Pantania Sail and Power Insurance. Well, it's the 3rd of January, the Hobart Race has come and gone. We're in the same spot as we were just before Christmas, Witty. We're at Birkenhead Point. The boat's getting ready to be shipped over to the USA. But we saw some brilliance on Sydney Harbour on Boxing Day. But then there was a tragedy, so I've got to ask you the question, mate, what went wrong?
Well, I don't know about brilliance, but we were pretty happy with the boat speed we had with all the mods. But unfortunately, we were only out there for 4.5 hours, weren't we?
It's a pretty quick race, wasn't
it? Yeah, we had a bowsprit failure, an unforeseen bowsprit failure. So we didn't. It's pretty disappointing for everyone, really, because we were in pretty good shape at that stage.
Well, take us from the start. You know, you got yourself into the down the leeward end of the line on the western shore.
Yeah, no, we were pretty happy. We got a good start, I think. Our time on distance was pretty spot on. Might have missed it by a couple of seconds, but better than the other guys. You know, rolled over the top of Comanche, had a tack off there at the boundary mark, and then crossed Blackjack and everybody else tack back. And I think Oates only crossed us by a couple of metres on port. So we, mate, I've sailed on that harbour my whole life, you know, and I'm pretty sure I was going the right way. And it all just went all funky, you know. The breeze lifted off the water, and
just crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought we were in good shape, looking good to be first out there, and tacked onto port and sat there for a couple of minutes going nowhere with no breeze, and then went to the east, and then, you know, it was just all over the shop. It was a bit of a lottery.
You came off that western shore and you went, what, 100 yards, and you just stopped, didn't you?
Just stopped dead. Yeah, just stopped dead. So, yeah, it was I didn't see it. The breeze was actually freshening as we were going up there, so I thought we were going, you know, into the stronger breeze.
Yeah, well, Blackjack was on the eastern shore, she was further up the weather.
Yeah, well, I just was in a sales meeting at North, talking to Squark, and he ended up over there because we tacked on top of him, and he had to bail out. So yeah, I did him a favour. I did him a favour.
Big favour, mate, yeah. Well, surely you got him out of the head first. So you were happy with the boat handle? You know, you went through Wild Oats pretty well, yeah, down to leeward.
Yeah, I mean, Comanche do their thing, but they were quite fast, but they sail, you know, quite a fair way out to sea. Yeah, we went through to leeward of Oats there and rolled over the top of Blackjack, and with a borrowed sail that didn't really fit. So all promising signs, but it all came crashing down pretty fast.
So you went out the heads. You were what, 3rd or 4th out?
Yeah, I think we were 3rd out.
3rd out.
Yeah, I think we were 3rd out, just behind Oats. Geez, spectator boats are a nightmare just off the heads.
Oh.
I've never seen it that dangerous in my life.
That wash was just huge.
Oh, it's horrendous, yeah. So we struggled a little bit to get going in that, but then once we settled down, we were in good shape. So the bowsprit broke off.
What happened?
It simply just broke off. It's had a failure inside. It's a carbon box tube. And there's no visual signs of anything on the external, but obviously there's been some damage internally that we didn't know about. Bobstays didn't break, you know, the diamonds didn't break, everything was intact. It just peeled off, and I know, it's just one of those bad luck things, I think.
So back here and...
Yeah, so back here, just been with Andy DeVell, our designer, trying to build a new bowsprit, so gives us an opportunity to put a modern one on and sort of help with our new sail program with North. So while it's extremely disappointing, you know, the boat just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, no matter what sort of boat you have, whether it's a large power boat, a small yacht, a regular production vessel, give us a call at Pantanius and we'll do our best to satisfy your needs.
Today in Hobart, the race's most iconic trophy, the Tattersall Cup, was awarded to Alive, the overall winner of the Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race on Handicap. Owner Philip Turner and crew have become the first Tasmanian winners of the race since 1979. Their victory came after an epic duel with the all-female crewed Wild Oats 10, sailing an identical design 66-foot Rykel Pew. As the two yachts rounded Tasman Island, Wild Oats 10 held a narrow lead. But on the approach to the Derwent River, Alive managed to pass their rivals, crossing the finish line just 13 minutes ahead. And then a nail-biting wait to see if their time could be beaten by any other challengers. Waiting in the wings were last year's winners Ichiban. Australian owner Matt Allen and crew were pulling out all the stops, and in the final stage of the race were ahead on time. But as the 52-foot yacht entered the Derwent, they fell victim to the river's notoriously fickle winds. And as the breeze dropped, their hopes of scoring back-to-back wins ebbed away, leaving the victory accolades to Alive.
Ladies and gentlemen, 3 cheers for the Tasmanian Pocket Maxi Alive. Hip hip! Hip hip!
To win here in front of an enthusiastic crowd that is so welcoming is, even if you do 20 years of ocean racing, it's very, very special.
Join us again for our final race update as the remainder of the fleet sail into Hobart, encapsulating the true Corinthian spirit of the Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race.
I'm Morgan.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to the 2019 Open Bic Worlds.
What I love the most about BIC is everyone is happy and no dramas and no complaints. The wind changed a lot, so it was hard.
È bello, il mare è pulito, c'è molto vento e il posto è...
The best part of the day was the fast tow-in. Where's the best place in the world to sail? Manly Sailing Club!
The Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race presents to yachtsmen and women from around the world one of the greatest challenges in the sport. A test of seamanship, endurance and courage. A rite of passage. For many, to take on this race is the adventure of a lifetime, and to complete it is reward in itself. And so, as the remainder of the 85-strong fleet continued to arrive safely into Constitution Dock today, there were emotional scenes. And above all, a pervading sense of camaraderie. Evidence of the Corinthian spirit for which this race is so renowned.
I'm just so elated, I'm almost lost for words. This is the race of the world, particularly for amateurs. It's fantastic.
It's been an absolutely magic trip.
Big winds, big seas, so that was the real Hobart experience, you know, that's what we come here for.
Escaped with our life and had a lot of fun, smile at the end of it all.
For the winners, there were the rewards that come from being best in class.
Alive!
As well as the respect and praise from fellow crews.
Cube design.
And so, as this year's race draws to a close, we look forward to next year's 75th anniversary edition of the Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race.
Well, the Rolex Sydney Hobart is over, and there was some major retirements. One which was M3 Team Hungary, and Brett Perry is the local man who was on the boat. He was the sailing master. What happened, Brett?
Well, I guess obviously the most important thing is we brought a new team together, international team, which for the race is really important. You know, I think inviting and sailing with international teams is great for the growth of the event. So we didn't have a lot of time to prepare, obviously, and sailing on a TP52, as we all know, are they're pretty difficult boats at the best of times to sail. But in saying that, we had a great start, and we took off on the, did what we wanted to do. We achieved everything in the training, and we on the first night, and it was sort of between 25, I guess, occasional gust of upwards of 27 knots of breeze. Coming in at dusk, and we just it was change of helm. Obviously, we're not going to talk about all that sort of stuff, but it was a change of helm situation, and went down a couple of big waves, and the people steering and trimming at the time, they obviously trimmed on down the face of a wave as normal, and unfortunately got an override on the trimming winch. Went to ease to release on the bottom end of the wave, and unfortunately, obviously oversheeted, and ended up rounding up quite heavily. So that put us on our side, basically from 20 plus knots of boat speed very rapidly. So the call was then obviously to get rid of the override one way or the other, cut the line or tack line. So we're in the process of that. This all took a matter of 15, 20 seconds. So basically we were so in the process of releasing the tack line. That was the call, and or cut the sheet, whatever was the easiest and happening as quickly as possible. The boat sort of came back up and then got hit by another wave, and because we were oversheeted, it went back down into the water. And I think the result of that was, the kite getting some water into it. The kite didn't blow, which was amazing. It didn't break, so that was the most amazing thing. And then, it just happened that quickly. It just basically tried to stand up again, and pop, and she was gone.
And the mast came down. So did you pop a shroud?
Oh, look, it's hard to say what actually went, but it went between the, first and second spreaders. So it was a hard break to handle with, because we had the kite, half the mainsail and the staysail hanging over the side of the boat, and that obviously is unable to get down because it's all part of it. So in essence, we had to also then, really be very smart about how we got it down. We had to try and stop it from flying around too much, obviously. So, and not cut everything all at once. We had to make sure we were cutting lines that, that were safe. Obviously, you don't want to cut the main ones that are holding everything, otherwise she comes tumbling down and can damage the boat. So we all worked feverishly, really, to save the boat at that stage. We knew that, that obviously the rig was our second, saving the rig was not an issue, or not a concern, I should say. So we had to work a way of getting it down and getting it off without putting a hole in the side of the boat, because it was sort of slowly coming down. The luff of the mainsail was sort of still in the top half of the mast, obviously, and still in the back half of the mast, and was 10, 12 metres up with no way of getting up there. So we had to sort of let it almost tear itself down. Once it got to a point where we could reach it on the side, we then started slowly removing lines that were looking like holding it, and then eventually got to the point where it was just the luff line holding, and we cut that, and it was that's when it broke free. So, a few hours worth of very sort of hectic work, if you like. And the other side of it is you've got, guys, I guess never been in that experience or in that situation before. We had to make sure there was no legs wrapped in any lines or anything like that. You know how quickly it can happen if the mast, breaks free and goes over the side, and someone's got their foot in a line, they go over with it. So we had to make sure that was all clear. And then, it all worked out. In the end, considering it all worked out well and everyone was safe, and that was obviously the main criteria in that situation.
So how was the whole experience for them?
Oh, look, from day one when they arrived, it was, I guess my role as the sailing master was to try and make them understand that this race is not a normal race. This is not something, it's not like a cruise in the tropics, as we've already discussed. It can be difficult, and there are going to be testing times, and I guess this proved it. How did they handle themselves? Very well. So much so that the main two guys that were sort of involved with the project, not the Australian Hungarians, but the two that came over, have pretty well given the green light to keep pushing. So that will mean hopefully that next year there'll be a Team Hungary on the start line again.
Well, that's great news, and we look forward to seeing Team Hungary on the starting line for the 75th Rolex Sydney Hobart next year. And thank you, Brett, for the update, and we're glad that everybody's okay.
The challenge for all of us at INEOS Team UK is about designing the fastest boat possible in any condition. You're always looking for ways you can push your boat even faster. That means designing and building a boat to the very limit of what is possible. And you know what? We may already have that. The AC75 is a completely new class of boat. A 75-foot single hull with twin foil. It's unlike anything we've ever seen before. Every decision we make here at INEOS Team UK will really push the boundaries of innovation. Every decision in design, every decision on the water.
Okay, so good time.
We're not just building a boat, we're building a team. And when we get to the race, we have to know that the team we have, the boat we have, could not be built any better. That's our goal.
In 2018 will go down in my life as basically the highlight of my life, winning the league into Hong Kong and being able to lead the team, and it'll be the low light of my life because I lost my best mate. Oh, well, I think the positive out of 2018 is the way the team's grown and been supported, primarily by SH and Sun Kai, but also, Brand Hong Kong and all our other sponsors.
Yeah, it was definitely a nerve-wracking time to join a team that had been through so much and was so tightly bonded, being the new guy, but they welcomed me in with open arms.
But as a team, most of us have stayed together, and we've got a lot of saying together too. So it's great that the team is still in full flow.
The team has gone to a whole new level through the experience of the Volvo Ocean Race. We're more professional. The calibre of sailors in the team are much higher than they've ever been before. The sponsorship involvement's more than it's ever been. We've certainly grown to be, much more of a family and a bunch of scallywags than just a bunch of people going sailing. But I've said this before, if I could go back and make the decision not to do the race again, I would, because I'd still have fish with us.
It's no easy feat for anybody. I think you yourself have done plenty of hard miles. They are hard miles. And everybody that's gone before us in the Whitbread Volvo race, they've all done these hard miles, and it's part of the challenge. I suppose just the experience, sailing in the cold day after day, the relentlessness of the weather. Highlight and low light is that, the weather and the conditions. Blasting along at 30 knots is magic.
We just put the keel on, launch the boat, and just attach the clevis pin. Next thing on the job list is to get the mast in the boat. So it's a 44-metre rig, and got to lift it with the crane and put it on the boat.
The
we want to work together. We're always trying to put 100% in, and that's because everyone enjoys and is passionate about the program. You know, between then and now, we've had the Fuku Trimaran, which we've been racing in Asia. We've been doing the King's Cup and the Hong Kong Race Weeks and Riding Luda, so we've been really pretty busy with that as well, so it's nice to have a different dynamic and start a boat.
It was wild, absolutely wild, but probably one of the most fun I ever had on a boat.
I think it's imperative that the backers are on board sailing on the boat and be part of it. You know, I love the fact that SH is very active in the team, because at the end of the day, it's his idea of what he wants to do with sailing and where he can help sailing in Hong Kong.
It's important to get really familiar with the boat and with teammates, of course, and as well all the roles on the shore.
We'll race the boat exactly the same. We'll push as hard as we can. The whole Scallywag family, we're here to do well, but we're not here at any cost. You know, we're here to do it as mates, as friends, and to do, sail as it should be, compete hard and play hard.